Grandpa here. Today I got a real special book. Mr. Davies and the Baby. I'm a Mr. Davies, but I'm not this Mr. Davies. Big difference. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. It's a great book. It's a great story. Mr. Davies and the Baby. Woof woof, Mr. Davies is a dog. Once upon a time, there was a little dog named Mr. Davies. All day long, he stayed in his yard. He sniffed the smells and dug holes in the flower beds. He ate his meals, and when it rained, he slept in his doghouse. Next door to Mr. Davies lived a baby. Here's Mr. Davies, this is doghouse. And there's the baby right there. Every single day, the baby and his mother went out for a walk. "Hello, Mr. Davies," the baby's mother would say. The baby clapped his hands and laughed, and Mr. Davies wagged his tail. Mr. Davies watched them go down this road and wished he could go with them. Then one day, Mr. Davies found he could squeeze right under the gate and come out to meet the baby. The baby was very excited. So was Mr. Davies, and he jumped around and wagged his tail. "Nice dog," said the baby's mother. "Now go home, Mr. Davies." But Mr. Davies was much too excited to listen. He just wagged his tail harder and followed them down the road. Mr. Davies was very good until he saw some ducks. Ooh, look at there, woof woof, chasing the ducks. "Mr. Davies, come here," shouted the baby's mother. The next day, Mr. Davies went for a walk with the baby again, but this time he chased a cat. Woof, there he is. The cat's up here on top of a wall. And the next day, Mr. Davies saw a man on a bicycle and chased him up the road. There he goes after the guy on the bicycle. People asked the baby's mother, "Is this your dog?" "No, he is not," she said. One day, the baby's mother went next door. "Please, could you keep Mr. Davies from getting out of the yard?" she asked. Mr. Davies is making a nuisance of himself. The next day, Mr. Davies ran to meet the baby, and the baby held out his arms. Look there, he even opened the gate. But just as Mr. Davies got to the gate, he came to a sudden stop. Poor Mr. Davies had been tied to his doghouse, but he could not get free. Well, he barked and barked, but he could not get free. The baby and his mother set off down the road. Soon they couldn't hear Mr. Davies barking any more. The baby was sad. Even the baby's mother was sorry that Mr. Davies had been tied up. It was very quiet. Then suddenly, they heard a smashing and a banging and a happy barking coming down towards them. It was Mr. Davies. And he was bringing his doghouse with him. Look at there. He's running, he's bringing the whole house with him. The very next day, the baby and his mother bought Mr. Davies a beautiful leash. Now he goes walking with them every day, and everyone is happy. Quack, quack, says the ducks. Even the ducks are happy. And there's Mr. Davies on his leash. He is so happy being on that leash. And there you have it, Mr. Davies and the baby. Well, I hope you liked it. I like that book. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, I like dog books. And a dog named Mr. Davies, how can you get much better than that? So anyway, hope you enjoyed it too. And hope you have a good day and a good night. Grandpa loves you. Bye-bye.